What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. We're getting into my Week 5 college football predictions. Isn't that crazy, guys? We're already at Week 5 of college football. That is wild, but let's get into these predictions here. And starting out here with the Week 4 picks. In the first game, I did pick the Florida State Seminoles to beat Clemson in a wild one. Florida State able to snap that losing streak against Clemson. And they're able to get the win. Huge win for Florida State. I did pick Auburn to win that one. Even with Texas A&M's quarterback going down in the middle of that game, Auburn just didn't really stand a chance, so I was way off on that one. I did pick UCLA to upset Utah, believe it or not. It was actually pretty close. That Utah defense was just dominant, though, and UCLA lost that one. And I did pick BYU, my BYU Cougars, to pull off the upset over Kansas. Just, if it wasn't for two defensive touchdowns by Kansas in this game, BYU probably wins it. So I'm frustrated in that one, but Kansas is a good team. They deserve to win it at home. I did pick Alabama to beat Ole Miss, correct. So Alabama kind of went off to a slow start in that one, but they were able to come back and win it. Did pick Oregon State to beat Washington State. Last I checked in this game, Oregon State was up big. And then I checked and Washington State won it. I was like, what in the world? The Cougars, huge win by 3 points. That's big. Oregon State, that's a very frustrating loss. Did pick Ohio State to beat Notre Dame, right? And I got that one right with that crazy play at the end. I did pick Missouri to beat Memphis. Memphis kind of played it closer than I thought, but Missouri was able to win it. Kansas State, I did pick right over UCF right there for a Big 12 matchup. And then I picked North Carolina to beat Pittsburgh. They dominated that one. No surprises there. All right, so that is my Week 4 picks. We went 6-4 in Week 4. Not the best, but not the worst. 24-16 is our record, which isn't great with that 71.3 percentile. So I want to be better than that. Let's see if we can. All right, here, starting out with this first matchup, we have the Florida Gators taking on Kentucky. Florida's knocking on the door of ending Kentucky's undefeated season so far, and I do think they will. Florida State started out the year bad against Utah, but it seems like they've kind of figured some things out now, and they're playing good football out, obviously beating Tennessee last week or a couple weeks ago. A couple weeks ago. So Florida, I think that they can beat Kentucky in that one. All right, Clemson and Syracuse. Syracuse has been a much better team than I anticipated. Clemson looked pretty darn good against Florida State, though. This is going to be played in Syracuse, so I could see Syracuse winning it, but I don't see Clemson falling here to 2-3. I think they should be able to win their their third game of the year there. Texas A&M, Arkansas. Arkansas now has lost 2 straight games. I believe it was to LSU last week. Frustrating start to the season for Arkansas. And then the Aggies looked very good last week. But I'm going to bet against the Aggies again here. I did it last week. It didn't turn out for the best for me. But Arkansas almost beat LSU last week. They only lost by 3 points. This is still a good Arkansas team. With this one being played at home, I know they lost to my BYU Cougars a couple weeks ago. That was kind of a trap game, I think, for this team. So I think that Arkansas can get this win, can bounce back, because this team, despite their 2-2 record, I think they're still a very solid team. So I'm going to go with them in that one. All right, now we got South Alabama against James Madison. Don't know much about either of these teams. All I know is James Madison's undefeated, and 94% of the people are picking them. So I'm going to go with the norm there, and I'm going to pick James Madison in that one. South Florida takes on Navy now. Navy, not a great team to start out the year, but South Florida's not great either. This is a weird one here. Let me search up these teams and see where they're at. So Navy played Memphis close a couple weeks ago. ESPN likes Navy's chances. I don't know. South Florida lost to Western Kentucky to start out the year. I'm going to give it to Navy. I just trust that program more than I do South Florida's. So at home. I don't know too much about either of these teams, so I know I'm another upset pick here for the Navy midshipmen. All right, Memphis versus Boise State now. Don't let that 2-2 record fool you for Boise State here. This is a decent Boise State team. They lost to, I believe, UCF and another solid team, Washington. They got dominated by Washington, but I'm going to go with Memphis, though, in this game. We saw they played Missouri close. This one being played at home, it should be a Memphis win, I think. So I'm going to go with the Tigers. And then we got another Tiger here, LSU taking on Ole Miss. Huge game for these two. These two cannot fall below 3-1. And, ever since that week 1 performance, I think LSU is kind of getting back on track. So even with this one being at Ole Miss, I could see the Rebels pulling off this win, but I'm going to go with LSU. All right, Georgia State and Troy now. I'm going to give this one to Georgia State. Again, don't know too much about these teams. Troy looking like they're having not as good of a season as they were in the past, and Georgia State's always been a solid program there, so I'm going to give it to Georgia State. And then we got Duke and Notre Dame. Interesting game here. Notre Dame obviously coming off that frustrating loss to Ohio State. They need to bounce back. Didn't mean to click on them there. But then Duke, 4-0, obviously beating Clemson in week 1 and just riding this wave. I think it's going to come to an end, though. I know it's being played in Duke. But Notre Dame, we saw it last week. This defense was very good against Ohio State. This team, I think, should bounce back. They're a very solid team, so I'm going to give it to Notre Dame, unfortunately, for Duke. But I could see the Blue Devils pulling off the upset. All right, TCU West Virginia. Not too impressed by this West Virginia team, and I am impressed with how TCU's responded from that week 1 loss to Colorado. I think that this TCU team is better. I'm going to give it to them. So those are my predictions. Not as many upsets. We had 2, I believe, there with Navy and Arkansas, but not a ton of upset opportunities, I think, this week. But we need a bounce-back week. Hopefully these picks can get that right. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Hopefully you all enjoyed the content. Comment down below your predictions. Anyway, guys, peace out.